Hi, everyone. So, welcome to this last panel of the day, named How Innovation is Driving Music Labels. I'm Xavier Tuminello. I'm a communications and brand manager at Bridger. And here on stage with me, I have Stella Reed, co-founder, co-director, and creative lead of Rough Bones, coming from the USA. You understand?
The UK, actually.
Oh, the UK?
That's
okay,
right.
from the UK.
Thank you very much.
And we have Naoki Osada, CEO and A&R and investors at Avex,
Yeah.
coming from?
US, but originally from Japan.
Okay. So, no mistake. So, when we talk about music labels and innovation, I would personally summarize this as a love-hate story. Sometimes, like, innovation is a good thing for music labels when it's something that can drive like new revenues or new formats. Thinking about the CDs, when the CDs arrived 30, 40 years ago, that was like a brand new way of bringing innovation and a way for people to buy music again. But when it comes to some innovations, it's not that good. So it would be interesting, like, for us to cover today, like, where music labels are standing today. Like, how do they consider innovation? Is it still an opportunity? Is like to make money? Is it an opportunity, like, to generate new revenues, or is it like a opportunity to survive? Because we have seen this past years that some artists are not in music labels anymore. So we will cover this. We will also discuss like what you guys see as the biggest challenges for music labels and how innovation can solve this. And finally, we will try to imagine the future of music labels with innovation or without innovation. You will let us know your thoughts on this. So my first question will be that innovation, as I said, like, was always part of the music industry. And I wanted to know, like, if you consider the music industry as an innovative industry, or if you consider that it is an industry that needs innovation. You want to start, Stella, with this question?
First of all, thanks so much for having me here, and to Jerome for inviting AIM, who I'm representing today as well, the Association of Independent Music in the UK. So great honor to be here and pleasure to speak. In terms of your question, is the music industry innovative or does it need innovation? I'd lean towards the fact that it's, at different levels, it's a mixture of both. But I think as technology is increasing at an exponentially fast pace, the music industry is in need of innovation, more innovation. And I think the industry historically has been slow to adapt to change, slow to embrace change. And as technology continues to grow quite rapidly, that is going to be one of the biggest challenges. In the last 5 years, we've seen innovation completely change the artist and consumer interaction, from things like plug-in managers now allowing producers, bedroom artists to access high-end plugins, pay rent to own, or being able to access work for hire musicians, producers, mixers, and overall what you're seeing is that increase in the quality and output of music. It's music at your fingertips now. So there's a lot of innovation that's happening. It's making it easier to create music, and again, as I said, shortening that space between the artist and the consumer, which is always a good thing.
But again, I repeat my question. Do you consider that music is an innovative industry, or that we need innovation?
We need innovation,
So
more
we need
and more,
innovation.
because it's moving quick, quite quick.
Naoki, do you agree with that?
Yeah, same. Thank you so much for Jerome and the team. I'm so happy to be here. So my background is I've been in AVEX, which is Japanese leading music and entertainment company there. So in that perspective, I'm like from the major level there, right? And then also I run a subsidiary. I've been in California for 5 years, Then I run boutique indie label publisher and investment fund. So I speak from two perspectives. One is major, and the other is indie. So the answer is to be like, I'll say winners are always innovators. And unless you innovate, you cannot survive in the industry. Obviously, the artists, right? The hit makers is always the people who set the trend, new style, who has established like different thing that haven't existed before. So you have to innovate to be a successful artist. For the industry level, I'd say, well, like there's been always innovators dilemma, right? There's always business model that working today. So let's say the major labels prefer 10 million today rather than you're still today 100,000 profit, but this is going to be like 100 million in 5 years. But majors always prioritize the 10 million today because of business and capitalism. But I do think there is a chance, and so that's why we invested in music startups to catch up with innovators, right? So this is the only way that at the major level, the executive, right? The only way to catch up with innovators by investing in music tech and startups, and then connect with people, support and try and error the thoughts each other. So I say, yeah, you have to be innovative to survive. Is my answer.
Okay, thank you. Stella, you started to cover my next question. I wanted to have your opinion on the most the major innovation. What you consider as a major innovation this past 5 years for the music labels properly, like not the music industry, but for music labels. What would be like the major innovation you consider that helped music labels like this past 5 years?
There's quite a few because, again, technology is just moving so fast, and it's the core thing driving the music industry at the moment. I mean, there are the obvious ones like TikTok, which has been both a music discovery platform for majors and indies, discovering artists, discovering new music, discovering ways to monetize and create revenue. So there's that element of things. But if you want to break down for the actual independent labels, you look at things like online distributors, where you can sort of buy package distribution in a box and have everything sort of set up for you, from getting the artist's final product, be it EP or single, and you buy the record label in a box, including your distribution, and everything is sort of done for you at a click. So there's different types of innovation like that have completely revolutionized the dependence on the traditional label structure. At the same time, they can also be used as very strong allies to help simplify your workflow. So yes, I think those would be a couple of the areas that have made that difference to independent labels.
Cool, thank you. Naoki?
Yeah, so personally, I don't see as big innovation as when Spotify and then DSPs came out. But I think I agree with her that TikTok has dramatically changed the business model. So our record label based in the Los Angeles is a really small boutique label, but fine and market, so fine artists, right? Even with 1,000 followers, but a bunch of like great artists in the future in the platform. So we find artists there, and then we make a bunch of songs, right? Then a bunch of songs, and we post them, and if some song get viral, we release a song. So in this way, we had a pretty good successful ratio. BS, so majors do not have time to find those early level artists today, but they're trying to follow up. Like still, it's not like TikTok itself, but how to leverage the technology and platform that's have been coming from outside of music industry. I think which is a key to somehow differentiate ourselves. And also, I say to certain degree, the community management tools such as community, such as the Laylo, so that artists, then management can just conglomerate the data, analyze data themselves. So this will have been changed at the level, in my opinion.
And again, I feel that the music labels are always facing like a issues or challenges. So what would you consider are the most important challenges for music labels today?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. Again, an interesting question. I think one of the key challenges, because innovation has made it so easy for everyone and anyone to be able to release music at a relatively good quality, sort of music at your fingertips. You can collaborate, whether you play an instrument or not, have your music mixed, mastered, and everything done online. One of the challenges is that the market has become almost oversaturated. It's difficult to find the niche you want to discover, so we're needing more discovery platforms, but even at that, it creates spoiled for choice. There's just too much, there's sort of a fog in the online environment. So one of the challenges that I think has already kicked in and will continue to worsen is just with the oversaturation, you will find labels, and just like he was saying, you find labels and industry people relying more on metrics for decisions, because the risk taking now it's a higher risk environment than it had been before. So you have things like loss of traditional A&Ring because you're relying more heavily on metrics before you can invest or make decisions, because everything is sort of triggered by an algorithm now. So that's one of the key challenges I find. You have a slight loss of some of the traditional elements of working in music, like the A&Ring, one-to-one with artists, etc., before you can make decisions. On the other side of that, you now have a focus on data analysis, which has never been as important as now. So yeah, I think that's something we're going to see more and more of over time.
But when I listen to your answer, I kind of understand that innovation has brought
a different
challenge
Yes.
to the market and to music labels.
Exactly.
So are you confident that innovation will solve this new challenge?
That's like a chicken and an egg situation.
Yeah.
I think, it's going to, as long as the ease of releasing music will continue to increase, which it will, because this sort of software as a service culture will continue to increase, you will also find more oversaturation in different aspects or elements of music. And the challenge that will create is finding ways to support the artists that get lost at the bottom of this oversaturation, so that those artists can make a sustainable income, because the market is so diluted now.
Noki?
Yeah, so I say the more innovation brings more and more artists in the space, and then there's a bunch of hot artists in the market. And then for labels, like signing those artists, getting super competitive, right? Meaning artists, it's a good way, but artists get more power. So these days, artists often request, not the master deal, but licensing deal. So label is getting more difficult to own masters, even though we invest in a bunch of money. So if licensing is going to be more like the mainstream, like it's going to be really tough for labels. At the same time, like now is a chance to come up with more fair and the more fair model that we can share the profit together. I mean, maybe this is a time to really think about what's the master right, what's the licensing deal. So we just share the profit of everything together, right? The sort of like the new incentive model and a business model. Probably, I don't want to use the buzzword, but probably like blockchain and everything could solve the problem. So like now's the time to, in my opinion, rethink the model with artists and stakeholders.
I agree with that. I mean, I think as innovation increases and as the challenge of oversaturation increases, artists will become more and more independent, and in terms of sustaining the actual structure of an independent label, making revenue to sustain income for music managers, artists, etc., people who work to get the process out, we're going to need to rethink the model and how we can make it viable for all involved.
It's a good transition for my next question. I wanted to have your opinion on if you consider that the challenges are or will be the same for major labels and for independent labels.
Uh, yes and no to different degrees. To different degrees. I think I'll put it this way. The bottom line in terms of how those challenges are navigated will depend on the label's ability to react and adapt to change, regardless of the size. Whether you're small or big, if your structure is set in stone, it will be more difficult to adapt and change. And unfortunately, time moves on, and it's all going to be down to adaptation. And it's a rapidly, again, I say rapidly evolving industry. And only those able to adapt will survive.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, but as I said, I mean, big level tend to be slow and less flexible, right? Because there's also already a system that's working in place really hard for like each employee to make the drastic, to action to make a drastic change. In that sense, I do think there's really a big opportunity for indie level entrepreneurs and artists today, as long as you can properly leverage the technology that's been happening and you find great partners to make a new move together.
You already mentioned that, but I want to dig a little bit deeper and have your opinion on what are the innovations that are that meet the music label's interest right now. And do you consider that these innovations will be a way for the music labels to generate more revenues or different source of revenues, or is it like just a way to survive?
That's also another interesting question. I think with these innovations, we're going to see more independent labels forming collectives to be able to survive and find greater chances of success. And sorry, just repeat the second half of your question there.
Like, do you consider that the need of innovation for music labels is to generate more revenues or generate like a new source of revenue or just a way to survive?
I think all three. Again, I think depending on the areas that the label is struggling with or needs to generate more revenue, you're going to find, again, forming of collectives, partnering, increasing knowledge base, relying on sort of collective knowledge to either create more revenue streams or increase just the chance of success. Partnering with other companies that are outside of your core niche as an independent label. We're going to see a lot more of that because, again, the industry is changing so quickly, and to be able to adapt that quickly, it's more survival as a team rather than Lone Ranger. I think that's what we're going to see more and more of.
Okay.
So that innovations make better for who are going to survive and then make worse for who are going to die, right? So as I said before, like, as long as you survive, innovation is always on your side. I'd say, so from as I say, I have two perspectives of major level and indie level, but I do think given the IP market has been growing crazy, right, for catalog acquisition and everything, but front line here is going to be the catalog. And so that's brought by actually the Spotify and other DSPs that has increased the value of catalog, right, as much as tech investment. And I do think there's a chance that there are the indie level entrepreneurs who have different approaches from majors, right? How to find artists, how to market artists, how to, develop artists. Those new ideas within music level could be like another potential for the investment, and it's sort of venture investment, right? I would also even consider investing in not only music tech startups but also different approach, the music level, bright, fresh entrepreneurs. So I do think there's a chance for those people.
Okay, thank you. Just to name a few, like, which innovation, like, do you think like music labels should look at right now?
I think the main one everyone's sort of focusing on now is the likes of TikTok and deciphering how that can help increase visibility, discoverability of your artist, and ultimately connect the artist with a wide fan base as quickly as possible. Because in that, you're able to sort of create more revenue for your artist, connect directly with the fans from the artist's perspective, which I think is what every artist's goal is. And besides sort of the obvious TikTok, other innovations includes the venture into the VR world, seeing how that might impact live, how that might allow artists to key in with fans and perform to a larger, reach more of a wider audience with minimal upfront costs, and also improve fan experience, fan interaction experience with performances. So I think those are going to be two main focuses for independent labels.
Yeah, I agree with her. Yeah, short term, obviously TikTok, right? There's more ways to leverage the platform than today, and also mid and long term, like obviously Web3, right? As I said, there's going to be new models that are going to be beneficial for all stakeholders, and then, yeah, I mean, in order to survive, like you have to always like on top of it. You have to mix with people who are on top of it. So. Yeah, I mean, it's still broad, but like, it's really important to see the thoughts of the industry leading people in Web3, Metaverse, blockchain, DAO, and everything. So, yeah, I mean, short-term TikTok is still important to me.
Yeah.
And if we go to the last part of our conversation about the future of music labels, like today, like we see that most of music labels have like a innovation department, or at least someone who's looking at innovation and how they can test, implement, or at least like there is a market watch for innovation. So do you think that in the future innovation can make differences, like huge differences between music labels, and an artist would decide or pick a music labels rather than another, just because like they can offer something different because of the acquisition that they have made, because of the technology or innovation that they're offering compared to another? How do you see the future of music labels with innovation?
Yeah, I think we're actually already seeing that, where a lot of the rights, like Nikki was saying, are already sort of owned by the artists, and artists are becoming more and more selective, signing to labels regardless of if they're indies or majors at the moment. I think that is down to the artists having control of the masters, wanting to partner with labels that allow them to retain that control as much as possible, but that are also bring them innovative ways on how to exploit their masters, bring them innovative ways on how to increase revenue, be that being, rather than sort of performing in traditional, I go to a venue, I get up on stage and I perform. Can we link them in with sort of the VR audience? Can we link them in with Web3 platforms? Things like that. So I think the whole move of technology in the last 5 years has been putting that power back in the artist's hands. And now the next phase of it is going to see what the artist does with that power. How do they select who they choose to partner with to exploit their rights, or help them connect more with the fans? You're going to see more use or partnering with data analytics companies, because that's also going to help the independent decide what risk to take, how much risk are involved in those decisions. So yeah, I think it's the summary of that is technology is empowering the artists more, and the next few years will tell us what that empowerment, what decisions, how the artist is going to choose to share their music and connect with their fans.
Yeah, I mean, technology only gives power to artists and fans, so like industry players like us have to be really smart to survive in an ecosystem. I'd say the future of music label should fall under 3 categories. Number 1 is just a bank, right? In the future, artist doesn't need anything but money to invest to market their content. Some labels could be just a bank, but just traditional bank and fund cannot sort of evaluate the investment opportunity, right? They cannot judge the creative, they cannot judge the growth potential of each artist. So record label people have a little bit more better sense to judge, hey, this artist can be worth investing or not. So that's one way. And second is going to be more, I would say, Web3 marketing agency, a consultant, that so there's a bunch of technological complexity to design the business model, but artists really cares about the new experience, new expression of their art and everything. The fans only cares about how they can interact with artists. There's the one like intermediate people who is really versed in those technology and then just design everything. There's going to be some like value in the ecosystem. And the last three, but I think this is the most important model, is so Rebel is going to be early stage strategic investor in artists. So early stage artists really need help, money, strategy, marketing, everything, right? But because they are still early stage, so there's like investment opportunity to fund these artists, help them, and then grow. And as far as we can, I mean, it's a different language in the future, but as far as we keep certain portion or master or rights that we fairly get from our contribution to artists in the initial stage, that label can survive. So I'd say three are the future label.
And to end our conversation, like, would you consider that music labels are still appealing for artists? Or will they remain still interesting for artists in the future?
As far as you can provide smart business model that benefits every player.
Stella?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think there will constantly be a need to adapt from the label side of things. And as long as we can sort of revisit the model, there's always room for collaboration between artists and the label.
Okay, thank you both. It's time for questions. If you guys have some questions. Taka.
Thank you for the great panel. So what kind of talents would be necessary for the next generation of music labels?
It depends.
It depends.
But I'm passionate for music, but some people has some out of like knowledge and the skill set outside music industry, at least one, ideally two. For example, so our company, IBX USA, based in LA, so the philosophy is to mix three business thinking. One is passion of music. Second, innovativity of a tech business. And then third, rationality of finance business. So we have three executives. So I've been in the music industry almost 20 years, and I have one guy from investment banking. I have the other guy from Google. So we mix these three thinking to somehow innovate and differentiate ourselves. But we just started, so yeah, this is not the answer though.
Same question. So you're saying what type of artist is going to be?
What type of talent?
Talent. Okay, yeah. Absolutely. So you're going to need a team that is very receptive to what the artist needs, first of all, because everything stems from the creative. So from that side of things, A&Ring is not completely lost. So someone who's reactive, understands the artist's needs, and is able to sort of steer and delegate the different sides of exploiting that asset. In a sense of sort of the business management side of things, someone who understands the innovative ecosystem and is able to help the artist present their art in a different ecosystem. For example, like we have Web3 versions of projects that are coming out. Help the artist understand that and exploit that. And then also, as I said, the business management side of things. It's being able to adapt. I think live is going to be a very big side of things as VR comes into more and more practice. Every team is going to need to understand that level of ecosystem as well and help the artist interact with it and get the best out of it for the greatest chance of success.
Other questions? No, I think we're good. It looks like it's a wrap for day one for the conferences.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
for this
Jerome.
last and very insightful panel. Thank you so much.